big visit weekend ahead now again for Nebraska, as we're expecting, roughly another 8-10 visitors in this weekend for the Huskers.
Okay.
So that will, first and foremost, you'll have Jaden Warren, a 4-star wide receiver out of Texas in this weekend. Jordan Campbell, a 4-star linebacker out of Miami. And this has been he's been committed to Miami, expected to visit. The number 1 player in Colorado, offensive lineman Deacon Schmidt. You'll have Darian Jones here. And this one is a big one because there's a lot of momentum with Donovan Jones's brother Darian with Iowa. And our own Derek Young at Kansas State Online recently put in his RPM pick for Jones to Iowa. So watch that one. Dominic Trumbull, a corner out of Miami, will be here this weekend. Jamal Rhule out of Charlotte, no relation. He spells it R-U-L-E. A running back will be here. So
any relation to Ja Rule, the rapper?
Jamal.
Second cousin.
I was saying more Matt Rhule.
Nice reference.
And then commit Jace Reynolds will be in, and then Moses Sparks, another offensive lineman out of New Mexico, the number 1 ranked player in New Mexico. So
wow,
they are pulling in from all over, New Mexico to Miami.
I like seeing top-ranked players in the state. We saw one last week. Mark Matthews, the number 1 ranked player in the state of Florida, which is quite a hello is right. But yeah, all these number 1 ranked players at
Colorado,
New Mexico.
So we got that weekend, and there's only one more left after this weekend they're going to have. But then camps, Friday Night Lights will take place Friday. That's the only kind of true prospect camp here. There's no Sunday camp this year on Father's Day. So
there was last year,
there
right?
was, yeah.
Camps. I wonder if the Friday Night Light camp, we talked about this off air a little bit, if it'll include some young quarterbacks, some like class of 2028 quarterback.
It's going to be the focus of these camps is primarily the 27s and the 28s.
Right. We saw some good young quarterbacks.
You'll get the occasional 26 that show up.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Sutko from Elkhorn South came up a couple weeks ago. You had Nelson Wheeler, who recently committed to Illinois. You'll get some of those 26 in-state guys here and there that come. But really, I think you're going to see mostly younger guys. Then they just have one more to go, a Thursday night throwdown along with the transfer portal postgraduate camp.
I think those quarterbacks, Rob, are huge because you got to get in so early on them. So we were watching guys that were going into their sophomore years. I don't know if you have those names in front of you, the guys you wrote about in your notebook. There's 2 kids from California that were coming off freshman.
Well, Travion Towns.
Yeah. Travion Towns, who has big time offers.
Aiden Edwards.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys have like Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State type offers.
They were throwing, Rob, and Towns looked like, I don't want to say he could play right now, but he's going into his sophomore season, and I was astounded by how good he looked.
Well, Hunter Fujikawa also got offered as a 28 out of Hawaii, and he's probably the number 1 player in Hawaii. So
got to get on him early.
They did the same thing last year with young quarterbacks, and it doesn't necessarily mean like they would take their commit right now. You just kind of throw your hat in the ring and kind of see where it goes. And then you get Trey Taylor.
Right. By the way, Taylor's been gigantic this month, and he will be there Friday night, right? I think he's just down to compete in all the camps.
Yeah, he flies in for every camp.
That's crazy. Again, I think we talked about this last week, but just like having a player like that is so proactive in helping recruit to the program, the peer recruiting aspect of it, and a player that's doing that and has that type of profile, that's a nice little ace in your sleeve.
It really is, Rob, and just his willingness to be here all the time. He doesn't have to
commitment. I mean, there's a commitment, but then there's that level of commitment.
Right.
That's different.
Like seeing him on Sunday at camp again was kind of like, whoa.
Seeing him work with Gramstad, seeing him work with Sukup. I mean, it's almost like he's part of the team already.
He did 7-on-7 all day Friday. He hung out and spent the whole time at the Huddle recruiting symposium.
Right.
And then he comes back Sunday and camps.
Right.
I mean, that
and he's the best guy there.
You see sometimes kids like that, like do all that sort of stuff for like the social media clout and for the celebrity aspect of it. But then when you back it up with actually showing up and participating in camps
And
doing all those, like the actual like work that
Right.
comes along with that, not just trying to get likes and retweets and get selfies with fans, like that's the next layer to what Trey Taylor's doing. And I think that's the nice add on to having a guy like that can help you build for the future.
He's putting in hard work.
I hope next year when they do the 7-on-7 that he just plays in it again. And I mean, I know
I imagine he will.
I imagine he will. And I thought it was fascinating when we talked to him in our interview after the fact that, there was a concern, like, what if this doesn't look very good? Because he didn't know these guys.
Good point. Yeah.
And then the hot takers and,
right.
overreaction people that, oh yeah, he's not. And you hear that, like, there's a lot of naysayers.
What did he say though? He wasn't worried at all.
No,
he's really confident.
I mean,
I wasn't
kind
worried.
of dealt with that with like Carter Nelson, where you would speak to people like in and around Ainsworth, competing communities, and they all kind of like just how you are in life. Like, you could be working around like a superstar person, and sometimes you don't really want to recognize that. And Carter Nelson was that way in that community up there, but competing communities were like, he's just okay.
Yeah.
And then we go to the Polynesian Bowl, and Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer's freaked out by how good he is. And you watched him. He was like, I thought there was times he looked like the best player on the field. And there were all 4 and 5-star guys. That's when I kind of knew, by the way. That's when I started my Carter Nelson's got to play campaign. I mean, he looked like the best player on the field at times.
And Trey Taylor, now we got to see that.
Yeah.
And Ahmad Hudson and Trey Taylor on a field full of 4 and 5 stars. Look at the 2 best guys.
Exactly. Yeah, when you see him in camp, I told Sean the first time I saw him in camp, the week before the 7-on-7, I said, oh my God. I haven't seen a lot of that here. I've seen some of that, but he's got a super live arm, and he's just very natural, very fluid, and he's very composed. He's got the whole pictures there. Now, you know what he's got to do, though? We never talk about this. He's got to go win this year. I think they have a pretty good team at Mark Calmore, but they were 4 and 6 last year.
Carmel Catholic.
I'm sorry.
It's confusing because there's a lot of Carmel programs.
That's the first time I've slipped up today, I think. Except I was a little late and heard about that. Carmel Catholic, right? Carmel Catholic. You want to see that team do well this year.
We want winners. Yeah. Not just good players. You want winners.
I mean, on that other guy, the other guy, Dayton Raiola, was 12-2 at Buford. I mean, he was 12-2 at a power in the I don't know, my second toughest state for talent in the country. Would you say Georgia?
Florida, Texas, Georgia, are
California.
I'd put those 3 over California.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
The only thing that gives California maybe an edge is they've kind of created like their own IMGs now, with Modern Day and these programs.
Okay.
Where people like move there.
Yeah.
They recruit nationally,
and kids go play for.
That is wild.
It is wild.
Like Bishop Gorman's always been that way. Now Modern Day and some of these other programs do that in California, and they're super teams.
Yeah, they're super teams, but you heard Dayton say, Rob, they have 50 players on the team with Division I offers or heading that
Prospects.
direction. Yeah.